unveiling treasures from history, where every coin tells a story. This is Rare Coins.
A 1954 D wheat penny. Most people think it's just a common old coin. But what if I told you that a few rare mistakes from this year have sold for hundreds, even thousands, of dollars? And yes, they might still be hiding in your pocket change or family collection. Support our effort. Subscribe, like, and share so that we can bring you more videos like this. Let's dive deep into the history, the minting details, the varieties, the values, and the rarest errors you need to watch for in the 1954 D Lincoln cent. The 1954 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and Denver was known for high-volume production in the 1950s. That means millions of coins came out every single day, which naturally led to mistakes, but we'll get to those in a moment. First, the basics. The coin is part of the classic Lincoln Wheat Cent series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat ears on the back. These wheat pennies were minted from 1909 through 1958, making the 1954 D one of the late series issues. In total, the Denver Mint struck over 251 million pennies that year. Because of that huge number, most 1954 D cents are still easy to find, but the condition makes all the difference. Circulated pieces, the kind you find in jars, drawers, or old boxes, are usually worth only a few cents. But uncirculated coins with bright red luster can be worth far more. When collectors talk about this coin, they usually focus on the difference between color categories: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and red, road. A red 1954 D penny in top grade can bring strong money. In fact, the highest graded examples have sold for several $100s at auction. That's why it's so important to pay attention to the coin's shine, its surfaces, and whether it has any marks or scratches. But the real excitement comes from the errors and varieties. The 1954 D penny is known for several interesting mistakes that collectors actively hunt for. One of the most popular is the D over D repunched mint mark, where the Denver D was punched onto the die more than once, leaving traces of multiple mint marks visible. Some of these show a shadow D, a tilted D, or doubling at the bottom or side of the mint mark. These RPM varieties can be worth anywhere from $10 to over $150, depending on how bold the doubling is and the condition of the coin. Another category to watch for is die cracks and die chips, especially around Lincoln's coat, eye, or the wheat ears. These can create raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin. While minor cracks may be worth only a small premium, dramatic ones can be worth much more because collectors love unique flaws. There are also examples of off-center strikes, where the design is pushed toward the edge of the coin. A small off-center error might bring $20, but a big one, 40% or more, can easily go for $75, $100, or beyond, especially if the date is still visible. Another exciting error is the broad strike, where the coin was minted without the collar, causing it to spread outwards. These look unusual and can also bring solid value. Still rarer are lamination errors, where part of the metal layer peels or flakes because the planche wasn't mixed properly. These can be worth $10 to $50 depending on severity. Now let's talk about grading, because this is what separates a common penny from a valuable one. A typical circulated 1954 D might only be worth a few cents. A nicely preserved one, showing sharp detail in Lincoln's hair, cheek, and coat, could be worth a couple of dollars. But a mint state coin graded MS-65 or higher, especially in red color, can be worth much more. An MS-67 road is rare and can reach into the hundreds. Also, keep an eye out for machine doubling, often mistaken for real doubling. True doubling, from a doubled die, would raise the value significantly. But as of now, no major doubled die for the date is famous like the 1955 or 1972 pennies. Still, minor varieties do exist, and collectors love finding something that stands out. Many collectors look at the 1954 D penny as a perfect beginner's coin. Affordable, historic, and filled with interesting varieties. But even experienced collectors study this date closely because the Denver Mint's RPM errors are so diverse. Before you check your own penny, examine the mint mark under a good light or magnifier. Is there shadowing, a notch, a second outline? These tiny clues can dramatically change the value. And if your coin still has bright red luster, protect it. That shine is where the money is. So whether you inherited a jar of old pennies, found a wheat cent in your pocket, or are just starting your numismatic journey, the 1954 D Lincoln wheat cent is an excellent coin to learn from. It teaches you how to spot condition, detect errors, and understand what makes one penny worth more than another. And with more than 251 million minted, there's always a chance that your coin, the one sitting in your drawer, might be one of the rare varieties. If you enjoyed learning about the 1954 D penny and want more deep dives into rare dates, errors, and hidden treasures, make sure you subscribe, like, and share so we can bring you more videos like this. A tiny 1-cent coin, but hidden inside it is the story of America from more than 70 years ago. Today we're talking about the 1953 D wheat penny. A coin that looks ordinary, but in the right condition it can be worth far more than its face value. Support our effort, subscribe, like, and share so that we can bring you more videos like this. The 1953 D penny was minted in Denver and is part of the classic wheat penny series that ran from 1909 to 1958. It carries the famous wheat ears reverse, a design that represents agriculture, simplicity, and the early American economy. For many collectors, wheat pennies hold emotional value because they represent a time when the U.S. was rebuilding after World War II and stepping into a new era of growth. In 1953, the Denver Mint struck more than 700 million pennies, a huge production number. Because of this, circulated examples are very common. But when this coin appears in mint state or high-grade condition, especially with original red luster, it suddenly becomes desirable to collectors and can climb in value significantly. On the front, you see the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head is, "In God We Trust." To the left is, "Liberty," and to the right is the year 1953. Just below the date is the tiny, D, mint mark, identifying the Denver Mint. That little letter is extremely important because it determines the variety and affects how collectors evaluate the coin. On the back, 2 wheat stalks curve upward on each side. In the center you'll see 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum at the top. This design was used for nearly 50 years and is one of the most recognized U.S. coin designs ever created. The coin is made from the standard bronze alloy, 95% copper and 5% tin zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams and is 19 millimeters in diameter. Even with simple metal composition, the 1953 D penny reflects a unique moment in time and carries a sense of history you can feel just by holding it. What makes this coin especially interesting is its varieties and mint errors. The first is the double die obverse, DDO, where letters such as Liberty or In God We Trust show clear doubling. These coins can be worth much more than normal strikes. Another popular error is the off-center strike. If the coin is struck even 5% to 50% off-center, it becomes valuable instantly. There's also the well-known BIE error, where a die crack between the letters B and E of Liberty forms a small raised line that looks like the letter I. Collectors love this flaw because it's common enough to find but unique enough to be interesting. And finally, Denver Mint coins often show RPM errors, repunched mint marks, where the D looks doubled or shifted slightly. Now let's talk about value. A circulated 1953 D penny is usually worth between 10 and 20 cents. In fine condition, it may reach 30 to 50 cents. In extra fine condition, it can reach $1 or $2. In almost uncirculated condition, it can bring $3 to $5. Mint state coins, MS-60 to MS-65, typically sell for $10 to $50. But when the coin jumps into the MS-66 or MS-67 range with brilliant red color, RD, the price can easily go above $100. If an error or special variety is present, value can rise into the high hundreds. Collectors judge this coin heavily by its color. Brown, BN, coins are common and lower in value. Red-brown, RB, coins are better. But a full red, road, example, bright copper color with original luster, is the most valuable. Sharp details, clean fields, and no scratches or spots are signs of a high-grade coin. The 1953 D-Wheat penny may be common in circulation, but it carries real collectible, historical, and sometimes significant monetary value, especially in premium grade. If you happen to find one with perfect luster or an interesting error, it becomes an exciting piece for any collection. Support our effort. Subscribe, like, and share so that we can bring you more videos like this.